Hello dear students, welcome to IAS in-depth civil service course. So this class will be our introduction class. We'll have two introduction classes. In these two classes, we'll be discussing about the civil service examination, different posts under civil services, eligibility and restriction, scheme of civil service examination, syllabus of the examination. And we'll also discuss major terminologies related to civil service examination. And after the introduction, we will discuss about the static topics like history. We start with ancient history, ancient Indian history, then medieval Indian history. After that, we'll be discussing about the modern Indian history. Then we will shift to the geography as well as Indian polity, economy, and all those static subjects. Okay, so let's start with the introduction class. So here we have given three important titles. What is civil service? It's a question. Defining what is civil service. Different posts under civil services. We are talking about the Indian civil service. Eligibility and restriction to write the civil services examination. So you are all aspirants who are listening to this lecture. You're all aspirants who is preparing for the examination, who will appear in the examination in this year or in next year, or planning to write the examination in the coming years. So this introduction class will help you to course your preparation in such a way that it will be easy for you, because we will discuss a lot of ideas and tricks, tips to prepare for the examination, including the trick that will help you to easily prepare, like converging different subjects like history and geography. Okay, so let's start with what is civil service. So in Wikipedia, kindly search civil service. So there you will get a definition. The civil service is a collective term for a sector of government comprised. So government means there are different branches of government, right? The executive branch, legislative branch, as well as the judicial branch of the government. So we are talking about a term for a sector of government, that is the executive part of the government, composed mainly of career civil servants. Okay, career civil servants means they join through merit, join the service through merit, and they will not have any interference from the part of the politicians or aristocratic elements. They will continue in the government service till their retirement. Okay, so they composed mainly of career civil servants hired on professional merit. They are selected on the basis of their merit rather than appointed or elected. They are not appointed, they are not elected by the people, they are not politicians, whose institutional tenure typically survives transitions of political leadership. So the ruling party may change, okay, once it will be the Congress, the other tenure will be of the BJP or Aam Aadmi Party, Samajwadi Party, etc., etc. They will be ruling, but the tenure of the bureaucrats will not change. Okay, they will continue serving the political party in power. They will be serving different ministers from different political background in their lifetime, their career time. Okay, a civil servant, also known as public servant, a civil servant is also known as public servant, is a person employed in the public sector by a government department or agency for public sector undertakings. Civil servants typically work for central and state governments. They work for both the central government as well as the state governments in a federal structure and answer to the government only, not a political party. So they are answerable to only the political, they are not answerable to the political party or political people. They are answerable to only the government or the ministers who are holding the portfolio. Okay, the extent of civil servants of a state as part of the civil service varies from country to country. In the UK, for instance, only Crown, the Queen, presently the Queen, employees are referred to as civil servants. Okay, so the officers who are employed under the local authorities, they are not referred to as civil servants, but they are referred to as local government civil service officers. So they are not civil servants. They are local government civil service officers. They are not called as civil servants. Only those who are employed by the Queen, the Crown, are referred as civil servants. Okay. So local government civil service officers or those who are employed by local authorities are considered public servants but not civil servants. They are considered as public servants but not called as civil servants. Thus, in the UK, a civil servant is a public servant, but a public servant is not necessarily a civil servant, because civil servant are those officers who are employed by the Crown, right? So the study of the civil service is part of the field of public service. Staff members in non-departmental public bodies, sometimes called as quangos, like quasi uh, NGO, non-governmental offices or organizations. Okay, non-governmental organization, quasi non-governmental organizations. So quasi non-governmental organizations means they're partly interfered by the government or partly funded by the government or are controlled by the government. Staff members in non-departmental bodies may also be classified as civil servants for the purpose of statistics and possibly for their terms and conditions. Okay. In certain cases, NGOs who are quasi in nature, they are non-governmental organizations, but controlled by the government in certain cases. The officers serving the congos may also be classified as civil servants for the purposes of statistics and possibly for their terms and conditions. Collectively, a state's civil servants form its civil service or public service. Okay, so civil servants are normally their state's public service. The concept arose in China, and they were the first to conduct a merit-based examination to recruit civil servants, and this was later adopted by the British authorities, especially by the British East India Company in the 18th century. Starting from 18th century means starting from 1700s. So basically it reached a mature stage in the beginning of 19th century, because you already know the Indian history. You might have heard about Fort William College, created in Kolkata, especially for the purpose of training officers under the British East India Company. Okay, so you can say starting from 19th century you can see a mature stage of civil service in India, right? And also in an international sphere or at the international level, you can see international civil servants also. These international civil servants do not resort under any national legislation, national laws, but are governed by internal staff regulations of the concerned international or intergovernmental organization, like United Nations. Okay, you've got different agencies under United Nations, like International Labour Organization. So specific referral can be made to the International Civil Service Commission of the United Nations, an independent expert body established by the United Nations General Assembly. Its mandate is to regulate and coordinate the conditions of service of staff in the United Nations common system while promoting and maintaining high standards in the international civil service. So you can read the history. I've already mentioned about the emergence of a modern civil service based on merit through written examination and recommendation. Okay, during the rule of emperors in China, right? Then you can see modern civil service starting from the growth of British Empire. Okay, and also by country you can see under India, the title India. In India, the civil service is defined as appointive positions by the government in connection with the affairs of the union and includes a civilian and a defense service. Okay, civilian means maybe a spokesperson in the defense services, armed forces headquarters, civil service and all. So government in connection with the affairs of the union as well as the civilians in defense service except positions in the Indian armed forces. So the soldiers who are serving Indian armed forces, we cannot call them civil servants, civil service. It's a uniformed position which is very different from the term civil. Okay, civil is for non-uniformed people or people who are serving the common people, a common man. Okay, the members of civil service serve all at the pleasure of the President of India. Okay, you have to remember this point. The members of civil service, that is IAS, IPS, all those officers, they serve at the pleasure of the President of India, and the concerned article is Article 311 of the Constitution that protects them from politically motivated or vindictive action. Remember Article 311 also. The civil services of India can be classified into three types. Remember these distinctions when it comes to the civil service in India. The apex civil service, the All India service, obviously. Okay, the IAS, IPS, Indian uh, Administrative Service, Indian Police Service, Indian Forest Service, and two technical services uh, can be included in the All India services with cadre facility as well. Okay, there will be cadre under All India services. Under Central Civil Service, the civil servants will only serve the union government, not the state governments. Under All India Services, the officers will serve both the state government as well as the central government. So under central civil services, you can group the civil services into two, Group A and Group B, as well as state or provincial civil services. Like the officers recruited by the PCS, uh, public civil service commissions, like UP PCS, Bihar PCS, KAS, Kerala Administrative Service, Karnataka Administrative Service, Kashmir Administrative Service, so and so. Okay.